We've got agents in our ecosystem that have had worked with the same IS company and have the same ISAs for 10 years. But what made it work was the depth of the training. The only way you can know how well they do is if you know how deeply you train them.
Hi guys, this is Pavel. I'm a CEO of Virtudesk, and we have a very remarkable guest. We honored to have you. This is Debbie Holloway. She's a veteran coach at Tom Ferry. She's the person who helped Tom build a company. And Debbie, the floor is yours. Could you tell us about yourself and what you do and how you use virtual assistants? Yeah.
Well, I actually decided to get a coach back in 1993 when my life was in shambles. And I was a single mom with no money. And Tom Ferry ended up being my first coach. How lucky.
Oh, yeah.
Then so I was being coached by Tom. And then in 97, I became a coach. So I've actually been coaching for 25 years. And in 2004, I left what I was doing and sold my 3 businesses and went to work with Tom building this company. And I've done everything except bookkeeping for the company. I built the team program for Tom. I helped a lot of people figure out what they need when it comes to a virtual assistant, because there's a lot of fear with that.
Wow. So basically you kind of know you were wearing so many hats, you know the business from inside out.
Yes,
right?
I was.
Yeah.
I was wearing a lot of hats. And that's fine. I didn't mind that because, it's no different doing what I did for Tom than running a real estate practice. In the real estate practice, you've got to wear a lot of different hats. But then you get to a point where you realize you don't need to wear all of those hats.
And a lot of agents don't realize that, and they still think nobody will do it better than themselves. And I used to be that way too. I used to think, hey, nobody will do it better than me. Well, I was wrong, because as long as you have certain systems put in place, it's going to be as good as you want it to be. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So why don't we get started? I know we've only got 30 minutes. Really want to give you guys some really in-depth training as much as I can in 30 minutes, and ask you to take a lot of notes and ask questions. I'd love to know if you could go into the Q&A and just let us know. Yes, I have a VA or an ISA. No, I don't have one. Or I really want one right now. So it would be really helpful for us to be able to see that. I think if we could see that, it would certainly make a difference. So if you
guys, please ask questions so Debbie can answer them.
Yeah,
this is a really good opportunity.
Yeah, and Rossley says she's got a VA. Don's got one 10 hours a day. Kevin's looking for one. Cool. This lets me know where you are on the spectrum of virtual assistants. I have to say, of all the things that I speak with my clients about, the biggest resistance and fear is VAs. I'm not really sure why that is. I think from having done this for so long, it is the fear that you won't have control over what's happening because maybe they're in another country or a different time zone. There's just a real fear of, will they really understand what I need? And it's a justifiable fear. But Tom said something to me years ago, and I love this saying. He said, the problem you're experiencing is not the problem. The problem's your attitude towards the problem. Because we allow ourselves to be fearful or resist, then we're like, they're not going to do it the way I want it to be done. They could make a mistake. And let me help you with all of those. Yes, we did. When I started out, I was the worst real estate agent on the planet. I had no concept, literally no concept. I mean, I chose real estate because my other option was insurance, and I didn't like to do math. Clearly not the way you make a decision. However, yeah, all those things are going to happen, whether that person's in your office or outside of your office. I have mistakes made. And my goal is to try to help minimize those mistakes. If at all possible, my goal is to help you minimize them. So let's kind of get started with what I want to share with you. The first thing is creating and building task lists. Do you need to know what you want them to do? And I'm going to ask you guys, I've got several here, expectations and job descriptions and all of that. But you got to think about it like this. And this is what I want you to write down. Do I need someone who is forward facing, meaning a voice to speak to, a nurturer, an ISA, someone that's making calls, receiving calls, someone that I know needs to have good phone skills, good communication skills? Or do I need somebody that's just really good with, say, writing and launching email campaigns, taking care of a marketing campaign, not necessarily a forward-facing person, but someone who's really good on maybe updating my databases, making sure that direct mail pieces happen. You got to decide what you want. You can have both, but I think you have to start with deciding what you want. So I'm going to ask you to take a minute and write down.
That's a really good point. Exactly. You gotta figure out what you want, what you want. And what I usually tell people, make a list of tasks that need to be done throughout the day, and from that list, put in a separate column things that can be done by somebody else. Pretty much focus on what actually brings you money, not takes your time away from you.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you don't make a list of what you want and be specific, and by the way, if you're in our Tom Ferry ecosystem, your coach, your fellow agents, they've got tons of lists. You can reach out to Virtudesk. They've got tons of lists of things that you might need to know. And I'm hopefully going to share some of that with you if we can get this PowerPoint to come up. Bottom line with all of this, you have to know what you want. And then once you know what you want, then the next thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to ask yourself, okay, where do I find them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then how do I onboard them? How do I train them? And by the way, training doesn't stop when you think they've got it. It's a consistent and ongoing thing. So
it's ongoing. Same with agents, skill sharpening their skills. Same thing. Ongoing 100%. Thing. Yeah.
100%. And then there's a list of tools that you're going to need. Slide number 6, prepare the list of tools you need. And what I love about this slide is that you need something for tracking their time. Very simple. But you also need like an email campaign scheduler if that's what you're doing. You've got to have a password manager. Absolutely. You've got to have storage, productivity apps. You want to be able to train them on everything you have. But keep in mind, the more general you are, I think the higher the expectations are for failure, the more specific you are. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So take a look at this. These are the things you're going to need as far as tools. There are a lot more you're probably going to want to have as well, but this is just a good solid list. Thank you, Kevin, for saying, give us the lead, the list of tools. And by the way, if what you need, I saw you say this, is lead generation, that's what we would really call an ISA. They both fall under the same category, but you're going to want to give them scripts and dialogues to use. You're going to want to practice with them. The only way you can know how well they do is if you know how deeply you train them. Very critical. We've got agents in our ecosystem that have had worked with the same IS company and have the same ISAs for 10 years. But what made it work was the depth of the training. So I'm trying
to basically whatever you put in, that's what you get out. Yeah.
100%. The right type of virtual assistant you need. Do you want somebody who's very general? And I try to think of an instance when you would want a very general virtual assistant. And I think that if you're a newer agent or you're a solo agent and you really don't want to deal with somebody in your office, I know for me, my social media gal is virtual and it's great. But she's very specific. For general, I think it's somebody really starting to put their toe in the water with this. Inside sales, as Kevin had asked about for lead generation, that's your forward-facing person that you're going to want. For me in particular, the executive virtual assistant would be the one I would jump all over because I'm really good in sales. I don't want to know anything else. I want to know the people to hire that can do that job for me so I can do what I'm best at rather than me trying to do a little bit of everything and I'm not that good at anything. You've got to know what you're good at. I had a coaching call today with a client And she loves to go deep into the research of marketing tools that are trending and what to do. And she will spend days on it. Now, do you think that affects her real estate practice?
Probably
100%.
does. Yeah,
100%.
of course.
And yet she's a
course.
complete realtor. So I said to her, why don't you just put your toe in the water and go, okay, I want to know more about this. Then go to your VA and say, research that, come back to me with a proposal of how we can make that work on our team. Then if you need to do some more research, fine. But in the time that VA is doing that research for you, you could sell 3 or 4 houses. So that's why I would encourage you to think in terms of finding someone that fills in the gaps that you're not as good at, and don't stop doing what you're the best at. Okay, let's go to creating and building your task lists. So here's the responsibilities to give you an idea. The general virtual assistant, customer inquiries, a little social media content creation. And I gotta say, I really recommend, if at all possible, marketing is everything these days. Social media, sadly, is everything these days. I would
if you're not on social media, you're irrelevant, unfortunately.
Completely. Yeah. And I read something yesterday that TikTok is the biggest of all of them. Have you ever looked at TikTok?
I mean, my kids play with it.
Yeah, it is huge. Yeah. It's absolutely huge. So, but as agents or as in any industry, you can't go down that rabbit hole and try to figure it out when what you do best may be sales. So that's a general virtual assistant. And then under that, you'll see the inside sales agent's responsibilities. I love it that people have inside sales. I coach a client in Florida, and her ISA is the absolute best thing ever. Loves her job so much that she spends time outside of the job just getting better on her own for what she does. And listen, can you do all this by yourself? You can. I'm not, again, like I say to you, I'd rather pay and have someone do it for me than to try to figure that out when it comes to this, because my job is sales. So now let's go to the next one down.
Looks like we had a question from Kevin here. Would you like to answer that, Debbie?
Sure.
He says, curious about financial incentive structure has worked for you for an inside sales person. Do you have a team financial structures you can share, starting from one ISA to multiple? I think you're better off to answer this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great question because I get it all the time. So how do I pay them? I would not pay them any type of percentage of your commission because it's illegal, and I'm pretty sure it also. Yeah. Unless they're licensed. And even then, I think it's better. What I did is that I paid my ISAs, and this was before we even had any companies. This is back when we called them telemarketers. So there were no companies offering the service. That's why I say if there was a company offering it then, I'd have been all over that. But I hired 2 women. They came in the evening. I paid them hourly. I couldn't pay them based on commissions that were made. I started out paying them, Kevin, again, this goes way back, $25 if they got me an appointment, and then $200 if I got the listing. But what I found was they were getting me a lot of appointments that weren't well qualified. So I dropped paying them on the appointment, and I paid them more if I took the listing, because I said to them, I'd rather you work hard to qualify this appointment so that I can take it, and I'll pay you $300. And then every quarter I gave them a bonus. I couldn't tell. I said, listen, I'll give you a bonus every quarter based on your results, because that's all. Of course,
because it pretty much pays for itself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I had to do is I had to look at what they did, and they got bonuses. They were happy. They never left. I mean, the one died, but they never left. They never left me. So I'm a big believer in paying like that. Now, if you've got a service, if you're working with a service for this, let them work with that. You don't need to fool with it. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. It wasn't available when I started this. We didn't even call them ISAs. We called them telemarketers. So, and that was a lot harder to do because I had to completely do everything to get them up to speed. All right. So
I can share later, guys. At the end, if we have time, I can share how we see clients pay the bonuses to their VAs and answer more on Kevin's questions. So we'll just move on right now to executive VAs. So Debbie could,
what I
discuss
love
this.
about
Yeah.
an executive VA is that if you're also bringing in salespeople in your office, those people you need to be training. They can do some training, but what they can do is some management around all of that. They can be somebody that can help you with that sales team. I think everyone is, if you're going to grow a team, needs an ops manager. And I would talk to and interview people at the executive virtual assistant level just to find out if they can provide that part of that service for you. What do you think, Pavel?
I agree 100%. When I first started with VA, I did it wrong. I first hired an ISA, then I was overwhelmed with appointments and didn't know how to, I was buried in paperwork and it was a mess until I actually hired somebody who could focus on structuring my business, helping me run it properly, because I was focusing on sales, what I did best. I mean, I sucked at paperwork. I sucked at organization. Yeah. So a lot of agents that way. Yeah.
And the fact that you say, oh, I sucked at this, I would say to you, good for you. At least you knew what you did best and you found people to do the rest. That to me is so important. Again, I go back to what Tom said. The problem's not the problem. The problem's our attitude towards it. If we think we have to be in control of everything and we have to learn everything, we don't. We don't.
We can control everything. No.
So let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay. I love this part. You're going to create a weekly checklist and a daily checklist. Now, this is just an overview of some of the things that could be on your checklist, but you need to be tracking numbers if you have an ISA at all times. Contacts, conversations, appointment set. I would even have a conversation with my ISA about the nurturing time, how long it's taking to nurture from nurture, because they're not going to nudge yet, to the actual nudge. How much time does that take? That may tell me something. Maybe I need to do a little bit more training. Maybe I need to add a few more things in there to sweeten that pot while it's nurturing. Videos, emails, just touches to try to shorten that nurturing time if at all possible. Pavel, what do you think?
I think, the daily checklist, the check-in with your VA daily with your ISAs, what I would suggest. What I used to do before, I was checking with her in the morning, what she was going to be working on, what leads she was going to be dialing. And at the end of the day, obviously, but throughout the day, she was calling me if she has like any objection that she hears from somebody that she couldn't answer or she can handle. So we kind of went over this. And what I also did at the end of the day, I did role playing with her to role play the calls just to better, to improve her skills. So it took a while to do that, but once she nailed it, that basically the conversion went up there, went pretty high. So again, it's you got to spend time. This is not a plug and play model. There, somebody like comes in. It's not a robot. They may have worked with a different realtor before who has a different style of work, so which may not be your style. So make sure that your ISA or your VA is a reflection of your business, reflection of you. So pretty much like you clone somebody to handle this work. So this person starts sounding like you,
Yeah, I think a simple format would be 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, review and update at lunchtime, 10 minutes tops, and into the day conversation as well. In fact, I would do that for every new hire I had, just so that I could know where they were and give them that level of confidence that they need. Most of us like to go, well, so glad you've joined the team. Here's your phone. That doesn't work. Yeah, good luck. I'm going home. So yeah, that doesn't work. So I think you want to have something like that. And I love that they've added here this weekly schedule of the executive virtual assistant. By the way, guys, if you could, because the chat scrolls, I can't pull it back. If you could go to the Q&A and ask your questions, we want to have time for some questions because Pavel and I have both done this with ISAs and VAs, and we want to be able to help you as much as possible. But I love this weekly schedule because it lets you know exactly how to set your schedule for the person that you might hire.
So you kind of know what they're going to be doing at each time of the day, Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the other thing I found is, if at all possible, I would include your virtual assistant in your meetings with your team. I really would,
Oh,
because it lets them know
absolutely.
what's going on. I just think it keeps everything so much more fluid. And so I would not leave them out of my team meetings, because they're really a really important part of it. And here's an idea of a simple sample for a single virtual system. Now, this says, in its org chart here, your local team gives them some tasks. I wouldn't do that until you're ready. You need to be comfortable with what they're going to ask that person to do, or they will wear them out. Again, you're the team leader. You have a higher level of knowledge of what you want, the outcome. So if you're going to have your team participate with the virtual assistant, be real clear on what is acceptable and what's not for both the VA and your team members. Okay.
And I would say on somebody on your local team, make sure there's a the person, the contact person on your team who's going to be in charge of actually dealing with your virtual assistants. So somebody's actually accountable. That's very important. And your VA cannot be overwhelmed with because if everybody, let's say you have 10 team members and they're running to the same VA, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty.
Well, where I've seen the problem really, really arise is when you have, let's say, 2 or 3 sales agents, and they're now hitting up the VA to do their social media posts, to do printed postcards and things like that. All of that needs to really come through you, not them to the VA. So a lot of times they will create a task, just an outline of the task. What is it? When is it? I love this that Tom said to me, whenever you're planning anything, ask yourself this: how much of what by when? Write that down. How much of what by when? So in other words, I want an email campaign. Okay, that's the what. How many? Oh, it's going to go out to about 500 people. By when? The day after tomorrow. That's never going to work for the VA, but your sales agent doesn't know that. So you want to sit down and work with them. And I would come up with a request form if you're going to have them go directly to the VA with the how much of what by when, so that you can sign off on it before it goes. Okay, I know we're going to run out of time. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah, I know.
I think we've kind of covered that. Communication is critical here. Open communication is very critical. Also written communication, especially if you have team members involved, like I said. All right, let's keep going. And I hope you guys will go to the Q&A and ask your questions. I love this. This is just a very small sample of an onboarding checklist. Again.
We'll send you guys to the this whole stack and information that we have, and Debbie, helped us to put it together. So we'll definitely email it to you. And if you're watching it on a training material, just reach out to Virtudesk. We'll be more than happy to provide it to you for free.
And there are so many resources available. Don't hesitate to reach out, because we want to make this easy. And I love that you guys, go back up just a real quick second. I love that you guys created this end of the day report here. That just kind of gives you, I used to put a piece of paper on a desk with the tasks and then completion. So this kind of gives you the same thing now, only you can do it through whatever your communication channel is. Okay, so I'm not seeing them in Q&A, and I can't keep up with the others. But Pavel, is there anything else beyond this after the end of the day reports?
Well, end of day report. Yeah, there's training on building virtual assistant team. We got a lot of goodies here, like an org chart on what it's. Yeah.
All of this is going to be in a Loom for you, and you can pull it up. But I'd really like to get to some of your questions. So if you could go to the Q&A, if you could, I'll try to grab some of these that
I can answer. Looks like, Kevin wants me to answer the incentive structure. Sure, Kevin. Basically, as you know, I run a virtual assistant company called Virtudesk, and you can scan this QR code right now that's being displayed, and request more information or join our community, Facebook community, leverage. But the way we see how clients pay bonuses to their virtual assistants, their ISAs, they, in order to, some say, okay, per each closing, I'm going to pay my VA, depending on price, like $200, $300, $500. So, and what they do, they just basically tell us, say, hey, could you deduct on my, can you add on my next invoice $500 extra that goes to the virtual assistant, and we don't take any part of this. It goes directly to the VA. So it's made simple, basically. You let us know how much you want to pay your VA extra, boom, we charge a credit card for that, no problem. But the structure I've seen, again, it depends on the price point. Some agents say if it's up to $500,000 purchase price, closing, I can pay my ISA couple $100, $300. If it's over $500, if it's over 500,000 purchase price, they pay like sometimes I've seen up to 1,000. I've seen somebody paying like $5,000 bonus to the VA. So it all depends on you, on your generosity, on your price point, and how you like it to be done. But as far as the mechanics of that, again, we at Virtudesk can handle that. If you hire a VA from us, we've built the process for that already. So you can contact us and we'll be more than happy to walk you through that.
And I will add, whatever you do not tie what you pay in bonuses to anything real estate transaction related. Like I said, I just said I'm going to give you quarterly bonuses based on results. I didn't say whose results. I didn't say what results. They were always well taken care of, but they had to trust me because you don't want to get in trouble. The whole thing with employment versus independent contractors is becoming a really big deal these days. I love Anne Marie's question because Anne Marie, I got to tell you, I get this question all the time. I struggle giving trusted client info and passwords to a stranger in another country. So, and I'm sure, Pavel, you've had this come up.
Oh yeah, of course. And a couple of things. We are a US company. We do obviously have VAs in the Philippines who work for us. And what do? We have a very rigorous vetting system. We vet the people who work for us. We background check them. We make sure that they actually adhere to our code of conduct that we have for the virtual assistants. Also, they work on a special tracker that captures, like their screen. You can see their screen, what they're doing for you, and when they log in, log out. So there's more enhanced security. And I understand the hesitancy sometimes of giving password to somebody in another country, and probably wouldn't do it, but there are different programs or softwares that you can use that captures the password without revealing it. So that's not even a problem at all.
And I have to tell you, and this is just my experience with clients, I've never had anyone have this as a problem. What I've found is the VAs, they're not really interested in anything than making money and doing the job. I've just never had it come up. And
and frankly, when VA works for you, they work on an hourly basis. And again, they're not out there to, ruin their livelihood and steal your information and get fired, basically. And if it's a Virtudesk VA, we basically establish an entity there. We're a corporation in the Philippines. They work for us, so we can go legal after somebody who compromises this, and they know about this. So, Got a question from Eva Budi. Says, I use a time screenshot webcam tracker. Can I cancel that if you have that included? Sure. If you hire one of our VAs from us, you don't have to have, you basically get a tracker already attached with the VA. It's part of the deal when you hire Virtudesk. We also provide a VoIP dialer. If you, let's say, have a VoIP dialer or you don't have VoIP dialer, we can provide one included in the price of the VA already. So we have that, option as well.
So, Pavel, if I want to hire a VA,
okay,
what makes going through Virtudesk better than me putting an ad in the paper, finding somebody, and hiring them? What's the difference? What's the advantage of going to Virtudesk with me doing it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's say if you are hiring directly, you can definitely hire directly. What you got to do, though, you got to do the vetting, you got to do background check, and you have to pretty much manage this person 100% by yourself. What we do, we already put vetted candidates in front of you to interview. When you go through us, let's say I need like a video editor or I need a graphic designer. So we're going to vet those people, and we're going pick them based on their experience. So we do the background verification. We do reference check, check with previous employers. We make sure that we put people in front of you who are already vetted by us. So you don't have to do all of that work. What happens, you get an account manager along with this VA, who's again included in the cost of the VA, which is low as it is. And account manager is the more of like a mid-management person who's dealing with your virtual assistant, making sure that virtual assistant performs, and any issues that arise, they're basically being handled. Any HR issues like VA needs time off or got sick or whatever. So that part is actually handled by the account manager and our internal HR department. We also provide them medical insurance, which if you hire somebody in the Philippines, unless you're a big corporation, it's kind of hard to get medical insurance for your employee. We can do that. They get bonuses because they incentivize to keep working for us because of the bonus structure we have. Besides medical insurance, they get retirement benefits, they get paid time off from us. So they're very incentivized to work for us. And if you hire somebody directly and you're not able to provide some of the benefits, you may lose them to competition. It's just the way life is.
Yeah, and
so longevity is there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I encourage you to go into whatever ecosystem you're in and ask the question, how has it worked for you? What are the costs like? Ask people about hiring ISAs and VAs. I can remember when people would literally try to rent another office, bring in people and do all of that themselves. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's so much easier when you have somebody. So let's see, Ava. Those benefits, oh yeah, they are excellent benefits.
Yeah.
Trust me, you don't want to get into all the health care, and plus they're screening these people. So I think you can feel comfortable that your information.
And another thing, if you're hiring somebody directly, not a lot of people think of that, but when you hire somebody directly in the Philippines, whatever money you pay them, it's pretty much, you cannot really issue them 1099 at the end of the year. You can issue 1099 to us because we're a US company. So you can write it off on taxes as a regular marketing expense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing that not a lot of people realize that until they're actually facing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So guys, other thoughts, questions, hallucinations around hiring a VA? What else can we help you with? Kevin, I love that you are posting questions here.
Yeah.
For an ISA, hire the ISA assistant, or is the executive assistant additionally trained or more competent? So from general to executive, Pavel, what makes it better than the general or not?
Well, it depends. If you're hiring somebody general virtual assistant, usually that could be somebody like social media, postings management, or graphic designer work. Sometimes this kind of person is very good at performing like the tedious tasks. Maybe it's again a type of personality. Don't forget about the disc profile, guys. And we do disc profile RVAs, of course, but don't forget about disc profile. If somebody's good at performing tasks on the admin side, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good at the leadership side. But if somebody's actually good at organizational, they may not be good on the phone, but they could be very good at organizational and helping you run the office on the background. That person could actually be a very good executive VA because they can help you organize things. So it depends. You have to look at the personality of each individual.
If I were a solo agent, I would want an executive virtual assistant, and I have no idea what the costs are through Virtudesk. I would want an executive one because I want somebody to take care of everything except what I do. I don't want to, and I want somebody that's got a little bit more, a higher level of experience. So I'm gonna want that if I'm a solo agent. Absolutely. How many candidates are you shown? Resumes, and are disc profiles included?
Yeah, and I say, usually it's 3, 4, 5, depending, because usually what happens when, let's say, you sign up with us and you speaking with our account manager, and they say, okay, what kind of person you're looking for? So they try to do a little assessment of your needs first before they show you the profiles. And once you give them the assessment of what you're looking for, we check with the people that we think could be good for you and see if they're available to speak with you. And usually we try to collate about 3 to 4, sometimes 5 people at one time, like batch, and you get to interview them. And if you like people that you interview, you basically make your hire right there and they start working for you. If you don't, then we give you another batch of candidates. That's how we do it, because we don't want to overwhelm you with about like 20, 50 people, because this, doesn't really do any good to anybody. So.
Okay, so thank you guys. I appreciate you
Yeah,
joining.
thank you, Debbie.
And I'm excited about you getting this information, plus all of the additional things that we've worked on prior to this. They've got a ton of information that they will be sharing with you. Any last thing you want to, any last minute comments?
Yeah, basically, guys, if you see the QR code on Leverage Facebook group, go join us. It's our Virtudesk ecosystem where a lot of people share how they work with their VAs. We post a lot of graphic there. We post a lot of materials there to help you, to bring you more value. So go ahead, join the Facebook community. Our team will approve you. And if you would like more information about Virtudesk, you can go to myvirtudesk.com, call the 800 number, or just scan the QR code, and it'll take you to our website.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All
Thanks
right.
for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. And I hope to see you in Dallas.
Okay.